Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 21st, 2021 Abington Finance Committee meeting. This is our first in-person meeting in 16 months. It's good to be back here together, back in Colorado Town Hall. We have with us tonight our town manager, Scott Gacy, our assistant town manager, Sue Moklin. We have in the audience our town moderator, Mr. Sean Riley. We have several members of our board, one of whom is off camera, Greg Belzeri. He's waving that you cannot see. We have no one coming, but we have a relatively small agenda for the night tonight. We have our yearly reorganization. We are going to review year-end transfers to finish the bookkeeping on budget. Are we reviewing reserve fund requests?
Yes.
2 reserve fund requests, and then our old business, our every time business of liaison reports, reviewing meeting minutes, and correspondence. So to start things off, we will go to our reorganization. I will turn the meeting over to our board secretary, Deborah. She, for a brief period of time, becomes all powerful.
And I would like to call for nominations for chair, please. Any other nominations? And you accept?
Yes. Certainly willing to let anyone else take on this role. Greg?
Good for you, Matt.
Okay, there being no other
There being no
nominations,
others, I will accept.
could I have a vote, please? Okay, unanimous, back to you.
Are there any nominations for the vice chair person of the committee?
I would like to nominate Greg Belzeri.
There's a nomination, is there a second?
Greg, do you accept that nomination? Vice Chair.
Yeah, absolutely, sure.
Is there any other nominations? There was Russ previously, I don't know if you want to continue in that role, Russ. Want someone to nominate you? That was a strong no.
Exactly.
So, without any other nominations, I will call to a vote the nomination of Greg Belzeri for vice chair. All those in favor? Those opposed? Abstaining?
I'm going to assume Greg would.
Vote for himself first. So, either way, the motion carries. Next nomination, Greg, are you voting for yourself?
I would never do that, I don't think.
So are you voting no or are you abstaining?
I'll abstain or vote no, whichever one you'd like, Matt.
You can abstain. That's fine.
I'm into abstinence.
I've heard that about you.
Yeah.
Next up would be the board secretary. Nominations for secretary.
Nominate Russ.
Who's nominating Russ? Is there a second nomination? I'll second. Do you have a second to try and get out of being secretary himself? I did a good job. That's just.
You did not.
Joe did a very good job.
Very good job.
A very difficult year. I think it's a good year to transition to somebody else. Let somebody else take that
So it should be a
on.
breeze, Russ.
Yes. Are there any other nominations? Without any, all those in favor of, actually, Russ, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor of Russ as the secretary for the board? All those opposed?
I was for it.
Okay, Greg is for. All those abstaining? Russ, it is as unanimous as it can be with one abstention. Congratulations, Russ.
Thank you.
Next up is first statistician.
I second.
Any other nominations? Without there being any, Chris, do you accept?
Yeah.
He does. So a vote, all those in favor of Chris as the first statistician? All those opposed, abstaining? I would like to point out that technically you can vote for yourself. We don't all have to abstain on votes on ourselves in this regard.
Greg is the president, so.
Yes. Next, yeah. Next up is the second statistician. I will point out that Katie is also not here and is still on the committee.
I will nominate Katie as second statistician.
Is there a second? Are there any other nominations? Anyone want to nominate Joe and let the two of them duke it out? Without any, all those in favor of Katie as second statistician? Greg? Okay, there we go. All those opposed, abstaining, it is legit unanimous this time with no abstentions. It's hard for a missing member to abstain or vote against, so.
And if she's not here, she automatically accepts? Is that how it
Yes,
works?
yep, that's the price of not showing up. We could have nominated her for chair and voted on it, and she would have
Many
been
years
the
of
chair.
experience is why I was sure to
Yeah, this is not the meeting
clear
to
my
miss.
calendar for this evening.
So, secretary last time, I think.
Yep.
I believe I nominated you.
Barbara is usually the master of nominating the absentee members, so. All right, we have a guest speaker, our town moderator, Mr. Sean Riley.
Congratulations, Mr. Chairman, and everyone else who now holds a position on the Finance Committee. And again, I want to thank all of you. For the folks at home who don't know, everyone on the Finance Committee is a volunteer resident of the town, and you guys do a lot of work, and we greatly appreciate it, and you help our town meetings go very smoothly. There are 6 of the members of the 9-member committee here tonight. As you mentioned, Katie Comas couldn't make it tonight, but I did want to announce and publicize to the public, we have 2 vacancies now on our 9-member committee. Patrick Sean Tyler and Justin Van Ness had to step down for business and personal reasons. And I just want to publicly thank Justin and Patrick for all of their service. It takes 9 people to come together to, you guys do a great job of bantering back and forth to come to, decisions and kind of critique every decision that's made, which I think helps the residents of our town get educated and be prepared for a town meeting and better understand how government works and how government works different than businesses. But, Justin, I think, was a great contributor to this committee, and Patrick has been a long-time member of this committee with a wealth of knowledge and a vocabulary like no other. So I just want to, again, thank Patrick and Justin, and also put it out there to any resident, a voter in Abington who would like to become a member of the Abington Finance Committee. You can either submit your name and reasons why you'd like to join the Finance Committee to me, Sean Riley, or you can submit it through the town manager's office, and Mr. Lambiase's office will forward it to me, and we'll see if we can fill those 2 vacancies as quickly as possible. So again, thank you, Patrick, thank you, Justin, and thank you to all of these guys and girls.
Just a quick note, you can also go to the town website, the Finance Committee page, and you can email us if you're interested as well through that.
That's
Or
right.
if you had any questions.
Or if you have questions, I've gotten emails from people in the past.
Talk to any member of the
that way,
Finance
so.
Committee or watch some of their old meetings on YouTube and see how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
All right?
Maybe don't watch them before you volunteer.
Thanks again.
Thank you,
Thank
Sean.
you, Sean.
All right, that aside, that part done, we now move on to the next agenda item, which is our year-end transfers. For those who are watching, we have a little sheet detailing out the area of the budget of need, the area that the money is coming from, and the amount of the transfer. Sue, do you want to kind of run through?
Okay, so the
These.
first item is the selectmen's salaries were over budget. And I put down here that because of the commissioner's stipend with
The building
the
department?
building commissioner leaving. but that actually should be reclassed into the building department, so you shouldn't have to vote on that. I'm gonna reclass that, Scott just pointed that out.
Okay.
The accounting
So-
salaries.
For the official one, am I,
Yeah, so if you just wanna put a yes and no down the side of where you're voting on, and then at the bottom you can sign it, so you can just put,
Will be withdrawn on it.
withdrawn or no. The town accounting salaries, a couple months back when COVID started, you guys have given us like $25,000 to do the COVID testing and stuff like that. Well, we split it up between expense and salaries. Most of that money ended up being salaries.
Okay.
So the money's there in the expense part of the COVID money, but it was
we need
it
to
was
switch it
salaries.
over to
We
the
just need
other,
to move it from one
the other
bucket
account,
to
the other line?
The assessor's salary, so part of that is, that with the assessor being new, she didn't know she had the ability to have a 2-week buyback on her vacation time. And the other part of that is because of COVID, Joe, who is retired and can only work so many hours a year, he used to just take non-paid time for the other hours. He was able to work his full
Because of
his full
COVID.
schedule. Because of COVID, they didn't regulate his hours.
Okay.
Legal retainer, I have at 39,445, which was what it was as of today. I don't know, we emailed the town council, so I don't know if you wanna move that up and add an additional maybe 20,000 to that, because we don't have the final bill from them.
Okay.
And there is money in, the building, not the building department, but the town office building line item, so there is
Yep.
money in there. So if we could increase that to 59 even, just so that we can get our legal bills paid.
59 even?
Yeah, 59,000 even. I would think another 20, because I'm pretty sure we got through May, right? We're just waiting for the June bills.
We did, this is both labor and general, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so it was a busy month.
IT salaries is because our IT person also last year became our building maintenance person, so he has a stipend for that, which was not included in the original budget. Elections and registers expenses basically is totally COVID related and having to, early voting and send out mail-in ballots and things like that. So it's postage and the additional election workers that, were required during this past year.
Will we get reimbursed for these COVID-related items?
Leanne is working on it, yes. Under
Did
the
we-
building.
Sorry, did we skip the increased licensing fee on the IT expense?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, and the licensing fee is, it was, the police, the fire department changed, one of its software, and it just ended up being a little bit more for that licensing fee. Building salaries was due to, a resignation of the building commissioner, and, he had to fly out for vacation and sick time. That was not budgeted. And then I'm gonna go with highway salaries and park salaries, they're kind of a little bit
bit
different.
further
I just
apart.
went by departments.
Yep.
So, highway salaries and park salaries, I talked to Jonathan Stone, I was not, fully aware of what the situation was until after I put this report out. He said those need to be reclassed to the park and rec department, so you don't even need to vote on that one.
Okay.
Sue, can you just pull a microphone towards you?
Sure.
Either one.
I love to be heard. The waste collection salary, we increased the hours of a part-time person. Board of Health salary is our public health nurse. We normally would have a public health nurse contract, but last year, because of COVID, instead of having a vendor, we hired a nurse. So we couldn't pay her out of it. Right, so we couldn't pay her out of an expense line item. We had to pay her out of salary, so so the money's there, it just needs to be moved. And again, Board of Health expenses, it's only $200, but it has to do with money that they needed to use to buy supplies and things like that. The veterans' salaries, our veterans agent originally, 2019, and then we budgeted in 2020. We had a full-time veterans agent and a part-time veterans agent, which was regional, and then we are now just a full-time here. He also is using a person in my office as a administrative person, and so she's getting a stipend to help him. She's only a 28-hour person, so she's working extra hours to help him make sure that all the veterans get their benefits and it's all reported properly.
Part-time person to a full-time person with an assistant.
With
There was always an assistant.
Yeah, there was always an assistant, but it was a full-time person and a 20-hour person as an assistant, but we shared with Whitman, so now he's our full-time person, but she's like his clerk, so to make sure that everything's getting done.
And to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
We went from a full-time person to a full-time and a part-time shared with Whitman, now back to a full-time person.
Yep.
And you can absolutely see
The difference,
value
yeah.
in what we did as far as the services to the veterans and to the reimbursements that the town's been getting that we weren't getting.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's paid off.
We were over $80,000 behind when this new person came in, and my assistant helped him catch up on all that money and continues to help him make sure that the benefits are being had and the reimbursements are getting back. The retirement is, we got a number from Bristol County Retirement when we set the budget last year, and then they sent us an email that, Plymouth County, I'm sorry, I live in Bristol County, sorry. So, Plymouth County, and then they did some sort of reassessment and it ended up coming in higher.
Governments never reassess things that come in higher. Come on,
Right.
so.
Medicare is obviously COVID related with the extra public safety, vaccine clinics and stuff like that. So everything that we've had to add more hours on, Medicare gets added on by 4.5%, I believe. And then the golf salaries, I don't really have an answer for that, other than I believe that they didn't account for a 2% increase for the director.
Is the legal retainer unusual, or is that something we?
No,
It's one of those
it's
things we don't budget, and then we do it at the end of the
it's
year.
one of those things where it depends on what.
Depends on the year.
Yeah, it depends on the year. It depends on, yeah.
There has been quite a bit going on since I got here. Between North Quincy,
Okay.
Straight, and other issues, internal, it probably goes up a bit more than normal.
Year to year, it's hard to predict exactly how much we're gonna end up needing for the legal line. We try to keep that at a reasonable, but not too high amount, so that we're not way over, and especially like in a year where there's a lot of budgeting needs, we don't want that to be too far out of whack, so.
It's not usually that high
Yeah.
over, but there have been some things going on that.
I think in the 8 years I've been on, I think maybe 4 or 5 of the years we've had to transfer money in, but some of the years we're taking money out of that line. for other transfers, so.
So those are the departmental transfers. Do you want to do the reserve transfers, or you want to vote on the department ones first?
Why don't we vote on the departmental ones first? Do I need to tally up the
No,
figure,
just
or
if you.
as long as I have
as long
notes
as you
line
have
by
a-
line?
Yeah, a yes or no, and
And, do we vote on the whole thing, not on each individual line, correct?
I would say,
Deb says yes.
you vote, Deb, what's your suggestion, the whole thing? Right, so, and exclude the
So I will
ones
s-
that
I'll-
you think we need to reclass, and that's it.
Yep. Okay, so, as a motion, I vote to move to accept the reserve fund transfers as printed,
Department transfers.
department transfers, not reserve fund transfers. Move to, approve the department transfers as printed with the exceptions of the selectmen salaries line of $4,010, the highway salaries line of $2,815, the park salaries line of $12,040.
And the increase in legal.
And the, which one? Oh, and the waste salaries increased hours line of $3,810. Yes, and the increase to the legal retainer line from $39,445 to $59,000 even.
What was that, the other one?
Legal, we're going to 59.
It was waste salaries,
We're approving them.
where,
Waste
It was a
salaries.
motion, or you didn't want to remove waste salaries, right? To
I
park.
didn't, no, I didn't.
It was just,
Oh, I have
No,
it was
that's
just
not what's
build,
on.
yeah, it was just highway salaries
highway
and park
salaries
salaries.
and park salaries. So it's this one and that one. So ignore the comment about waste salaries. That one is still in there. I had a yes next to that and I got confused, so. So it is the transfers as printed except for selectmen salaries, the changed amount to legal retainer, the highway salaries, and the park salaries. Motion to approve from Joe, a second from Barbara. Is there any further discussion on this? Without any, all those in favor of approving the motion? All those opposed, abstaining? It is unanimous. The transfers are approved. And now we have 2 reserve fund transfers on the agenda. So first is the police chief search.
Police chief
We have
search.
talked about in previous meetings, but we never had the number that we were looking for, so.
So it was 12,000, but there's been
There's
some
some-
incidental, expenses that came along with it, so we don't have that final dollar amount, so I went with 16, but if we don't use it, then we'll put it back into the, free cash.
Okay.
And the electrical panel at the Council on Aging is new. Apparently there's some electrical pole that there's water that was getting into, and it
By the
came
head.
into the Council on Aging and it fried their panel. So most of it, she was supposed to, well, not most of it, but a portion of it, she was able to cover through her budget, through Engrid, but this is actually the electrical panel being removed and replaced. Yes,
Yeah, they had to replace the whole new weather head and the pipe going down, panel, and all the stuff inside the panel.
How did they find that? It's been so dry.
Nothing's dry, is it?
Barbara, the question?
How much is in our reserve fund at this point?
there's about $77,000 still in there.
And this is from the
But we put in extra.
FY '21
Correct.
reserve fund,
Oh,
77.
Yeah, not that, not that was a fun. That would be.
No, not
that would've been a big
stabilization.
hit. Yeah, not stabilization. not the-
And just as Sue just clarified, this is the fiscal year '21 reserve fund. This is not the technically current fiscal year 22, that one will remain untouched. This is for last year's billing period.
Can I ask you a quick question? It might go back a couple
Yep.
line items. The COVID stuff, the testing?
Yep.
Does medical reimburse them? Like if somebody has medical insurance, does it reimburse them?
So, for the testing that we did in-house, so we had an employee test positive, so we tested everybody in the building, so no. The
Alright, so
town,
that has nothing to do with like what the fire was doing?
no.
Got it, that's what I thought it was.
And then the other COVID stuff was the vaccinations, and we knew that we were gonna do that, and we are going to be reimbursed for it. I put in for the reimbursement,
Yep.
but I haven't gotten the, hey, you got the money back yet. So
Sure.
right now, the account number is in the negative.
Because
So-
even if you're testing people because of that, supposedly the medical stuff is covered.
Right.
If
So-
you just wanted to test because you wanted to test, then it's not covered.
Right, so it's basically, we had to spend the money, we haven't gotten the money back yet.
Yep.
And we didn't get a grant approval, so
Yep.
like with Plymouth County Cares, we got the grant approval, we knew how much money we had. So I can spend that down in the negative and say, I'm getting this money, I know I'm getting this
Got it.
money when I
Yep.
prove them the invoices, but with
Yep.
this one, there was not a grant approval, so we had to prepay, and we're waiting for the grant to be
Got it.
approved.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, any further discussion? Any discussion on the reserve fund transfers? Motion from Joe, second from Russ. Any further discussion? Without any, all those in favor of approving the reserve fund transfers? All those opposed, abstaining, it is unanimous. The transfers are approved. Over to Deb. All right, and that is the end of our new business portion of our agenda. The next portion of our agenda, are there any liaison reports? Guessing that there are not. It's a quiet time for liaisons right now.
I got something to add.
Scott?
And maybe it would
What do
go
you
into
have for us?
Greg's liaison report, because I'm sure he would be dying to tell you about his last meeting with the Capital Improvement Committee that he is your representative on.
Yeah.
But let me fill in the blanks for you.
Please.
So what we did is we did receive money from the government, from the federal government, for the, it's called the ARPA funds, the American Recovery Plan Act, and we received, in this year's payment direct from them was over $800,000. We will receive another payment, hopefully March, April of next year for another $800,000. A portion of that money can be used for revenue replacement, and then other parts of that money can be used to support police, fire, infrastructure, DPW type projects and stuff like that. So what we've done so far is I've met with the Capital Planning Committee, and I wanted to mention it and bring it up to this committee. Unlike what we typically would do with capital, is we would go to town meeting, but as you recall, we didn't have a capital plan at town meeting. And I had mentioned that we were hoping to use this money, or some of this money, to supplement the capital plan, and it appears that we're going to be able to do so. Some of the really important stuff that we're going to take care of right away is our the cruisers that we haven't purchased, and we're going to purchase 3 cruisers.
That's going to be my first question.
Yep, absolutely. And then the street sweeper, we're going to purchase the street sweeper that we need, because we have to keep up with that MS4 permitting, and that requires us to sweep every street twice a year. The other thing that we did authorize, and we asked the Capital Committee on, and hopefully there'll be no objection from this committee, was to also purchase a bucket truck. And we talked with the DPW director about, he had suggested that there were actually used trucks out there that were in good condition that would save us a lot of money. So we thought that would get a vote from Greg real easily, and it did work.
I was going to say that sounds like something that would make Greg very happy.
Just to give a little background on it, all that stuff that I was just dealing with.
You bought us one?
There's a guy who fixes
Oh.
the electricity when the electricity goes out. So yes, there are a lot of things that are union and stuff, but they don't have enough people, so they bring them out from Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was just dealing with. He knows about bucket trucks.
Nice.
So I guess it's very difficult to get bucket trucks right this second. And
Price just went up.
There's a lot,
I was just gonna say.
So what he's
there are a
gonna
lot of
try to
things it's
help.
difficult
He's
to
gonna-
get right
He's
this
gonna-
second.
He's gonna help them get a bucket.
Awesome. So,
That's all he does is buy bucket trucks.
no kidding.
Yeah.
So, and we hope that, you know, talking with John, you know, that, I mean, that's kind of a workhorse that, and, you know, the fire department uses that also. So those were things that we wanted to put forward immediately. They were our immediate needs. We looked at other things that were on that capital plan. There's pickup trucks, there's other items that the capital committee put off that, you know, we didn't bring in front of this committee necessarily, that I think we're gonna try and pick away at smaller items that we know will fit into this, this sort of list of things that we can use it for. This money cannot be put into the stabilization fund. This money cannot be used to pay off debt. This is very specific on things you can spend it on, and it's also, you know, or it actually gives us a lot of leeway on what we can spend it on, but they're very clear on certain things that we cannot use it for. There's also an additional amount of money, a larger sum of money that is being put towards, it being funneled to us through the Plymouth County Commissioners, sort of the same way that they did with the CARES Act money. That money should be in excess of $1.5 million, but I'm not really sure at this point. We're still kind of working that out, and we haven't met with them yet. Some of that money will probably be earmarked towards our water issues, mostly water quality issues, and making sure that our treatment plants are up to, you know, brought up to the new standard that they have to be brought up to. It'll, you know, some of that expense that's associated with that we'll hear, I think, pretty soon when we get active and getting ready for town meeting. Joe Lapointe will come to this committee and kind of explain what those expenses are going to be and what we got to look forward to. Some of them will be borne by the ratepayers, but I think if we can offset it with this money, with some of this money, I know Rockland's willing to do so. So, you know, we kind of want to match or try and get close to matching what they're doing. Our plan going forward is I'll present this also to the selectmen on Monday night. Just again, because we're not going to town meeting, I just want to make sure that we're involving the committees that we would normally involve. And I think this is obviously going to help us when we do start our next budget cycle, which will be coming up soon because we have to have town meeting on time this year. Mm-hmm. It'll help us, you know, immensely with the capital program going forward. And, you know, I have a plan. I think it's, you know, like all of my plans, I hope it works out. But I do have a plan in September to work with the Collins Center at UMass to help us put together a really robust, comprehensive capital plan, one that, you know, they'll work with us to meet with all departments, look at all of our buildings, all of our needs for the next 5 years, and actually consolidate it. You know, they've done a few. I've looked at them. If it, you know, as long as everybody works with them properly, it's a very solid plan. I think it'll aid us, it'll aid this committee immensely to have that as far as, you know, our long-term plan. So that's what I got running.
What are we doing about a fall town meeting this year?
There's no need to have a fall town meeting. You know, if anything, we contemplated one specifically if we had to use town meeting to expend these ARPA funds. But where we don't, I think it's in our best interest to go forward. And like I said, I think these are obviously items that unless the capital committee or if this committee or if the selectmen felt strenuously against chipping away at the capital plan and buying these items, then I would certainly, you know, put it off. But I think it makes perfect sense to do this.
Any other questions, comments?
Was the roof on
The
The library roof?
it? Did they,
We funded in town meeting to hire engineer.
I just didn't know if you could like swap stuff, like, to help the situation, but if it doesn't, then just.
I don't
roll
think,
over my truck.
I don't think those would, yeah, there's certain things I know I can fit into this. I don't think those would
I
work.
know those are
Yeah,
bigger, that's why.
yeah.
I don't think the roof got COVID.
Good.
I
So.
asked this, I think I know the answer. Do we know how we came in versus budget for fiscal year '21? Actual versus budget?
As far as,
Still haven't completed all the invoices, but I think we did a pretty good job. We didn't overspend. I mean, some line items, like you see here, we have to move things
I
around.
see you had a lot of room here to
Yeah.
cover these things that we didn't expect, or
Right.
maybe we did expect.
But we did not overspend what was budgeted, bottom line.
And, I mean, obviously, we're hoping the revenue came in. And
Exactly, that's it.
yeah, we're hoping that the revenue numbers come in good and that we're gonna have some good free cash, or at least have free cash this year. That would be great.
Well, that's why,
yeah.
last year, you didn't, because
No,
budget didn't happen.
it was
It would be nice to.
And that's where a lot of this, the opera money plays in too, is the fact that when the revenue that was lost in those years, it will play out over 3 years, because as you know, revenue from the year before compounds, and so they do actually give us a lot of leeway on how we calculate what that revenue loss is. It's helpful, but again, it also contemplates that we're spending it.
Yep.
So as opposed to, we have the ability to put stuff, but I think what'll happen is we'll look next year and see some of that maybe we would have otherwise spent, that we could even continue to put money into our stabilization and use this to sort of attack that capital plan.
Was there any conversation, this wouldn't have been at the other meeting, but about a planner? That ARPA money that we obviously were gonna do?
Yeah, so the problem with using that for a planner is that this money will go away.
yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm gonna try and get, I mean, like I said, I pointed out to this committee, there's 2 things that we need, and we need them fast, is human resources, and we need a planner. And I'll find a way to get one before the other, probably, and, your legal fees will drop significantly when we have a human resources person in here. But other issues that we might be otherwise missing will also become better when we have a planner in here. So, we are gonna work on that, and hopefully within the next few months, we'll have some ideas, and a lot's gonna have to do with, what's coming in for revenue,
Both of those positions can save money.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely can, and they also increase the efficiency of your organization. The culture will change dramatically. The message that gets out to the public changes dramatically, with the planner especially. So, yeah, there's a lot of changes, a lot of benefits to it, but again, it all depends on revenue. It certainly wasn't there the last year that we took a hit.
But to Barbara's point, are we talking like that the money saved is almost paying for itself? Or is it not that much?
Well, it's not, it isn't that much like I said, say we went over 48,000 on legal fees, we probably would save a good amount by having human resources, but 100% offset, where you have your biggest offset are the legal fees that you don't know about that could be coming because you didn't have a good human resources person that.
Just even paying for itself in the sense, you wouldn't be putting in a new road and then a month later, putting in, doing repairs for that particular road, because there wasn't
Oversight or a
the foresight,
plan.
you're right, the oversight and the communication, enough communication between all the participants. So I think over the course of years, the savings to the town would be pretty significant.
In a lot of things that, with the planner especially, that you'll see is you have coordination between, you have a master plan that's great, but there's no one really overseeing it and coordinating it with an open space plan that you had put together in 2012, that nobody's relating that to the master plan, and you have a housing production plan that all of a sudden someone's taken care of, but you don't have anybody tying all that together, and that.
There's no go-to person.
Yeah, and that's something where the planner who would look at sort of that whole big picture. Now, the idea right now is I'm still hoping that works out. It maybe works out with Rockland and Whitman, but, I don't know. It may be something that we have to go alone, and we may be better off. Doesn't always work out when you share.
Well, I was just gonna say,
Like the
that
veterans agent.
Exactly.
feels like it would be better to have our own if we could
Yeah.
swing it in the near term.
So,
Speaking of roads, I was happy to see that Hancock in front of my house was all brown down.
is it, yeah,
And
it's
they're
that.
working on Lincoln, I think,
Yeah,
when I
to
drove
get
by
here.
this morning, so.
Yeah, to get here was, no, I was in front of my house and then down Lincoln too, so.
Okay.
And they're gonna be starting the sewer main, the force main, so that, you know, they'll be heading up Summer pretty soon with that. I think Johnstone said that trench is like 14 feet, 15 feet deep that they're gonna be dropping those pipes into, so it isn't gonna be super quick is my guess. But-
Actually, that brings up a totally unrelated question. Do we have a timetable on the Central Street Bridge?
I don't, but I'm sure Johnstone does, and I can ask him,
Okay,
absolutely.
just curious, because I know we talked about that and passed money for that a while back, and
Yeah, and I can't remember, there was a reason for
guessing
the
it's
delay.
design.
I think,
or-
I think bridge guys are hard to find right now. I think it's actually the contractors that are
COVID.
all,
Yeah.
Trying to get workers. I'm sure
Lots-
that's plays a
lots-
role.
Find people to build
Yeah.
bridges.
Listen, I
I'm only kidding.
I guess, yeah. They're all up in Methuen.
In the backyard. Oh, it's 6 months. 6 months to put up a fence.
Well, and that, the wood, the cost of wood.
Coming down though.
Down 60% since we last met.
So
Right.
6
Yeah.
months.
6
might-
months
might
and
be good for you.
$10,000 for a fence. I was like, you kidding me?
Mm.
Also mentioned yesterday that Route 18's closed this weekend.
Yes, Route 18 closed from Thursday, no, the
Just the
bridge, the new bridge.
bridge.
It's closed, I believe it's 11 PM Thursday night
By the airport.
until sometime around 4 AM Monday morning,
The railroad tracks,
so,
Do
They-
not
they're
enjoy
sliding
the,
it over.
Bridge closed signs.
it's pretty cool.
yeah. I still don't understand how someone drove off of that. There are concrete barriers
An orange,
and
large
lots of
barrels,
cones.
signs, with
surprises
flashing
me.
lights.
Sometimes you need to make sure you're listening to the right Sirius XM station.
That's a good point.
Scott, are you guys
So-
taking into effect there could be some decent amount of infrastructure given to the community soon? Hopefully,
We're hoping, but, you know what? I've been hearing talk like that since every administration's got the most amazing infrastructure bill that's coming.
Infrastructure plan after
Yeah,
infrastructure
and
plan.
by the time it trickles down to the cities and towns, we're lucky to get a bump to our chapter 90. It never seems to come to fruition. So we would like to see it, because as you know, we talk with John and we want to, you know, get a more robust road plan going to try and catch up on the roads that we have here. But
Which is why a lot of towns are doing more matching funds and
Mhm.
trying to
Yeah.
take care of it that way, because they know that.
otherwise we'll never
Wait,
catch up.
The longer you
Yeah.
wait, it.
But I
just
hope.
keeps-
I keep hearing it, but, you know, again, I don't see it.
It's one of those campaign pitches. And everything never
Yep.
come to fruition.
So does that cover liaison reports for us?
And that was Greg's liaison report.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Anything else?
I think
There.
that's it.
All right. Deb, were there any correspondence? No correspondence, all right. That's an easy one. Meeting minutes, we have 2 sets of meeting minutes to approve.
I would like to
Vet-
motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 5th.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the May 5th meeting minutes that are very long and very well prepared by Deb, who I'm sure Joe was very happy to have back at the May 5th meeting? Without any further discussion, let's see, everyone that is here now was here at that meeting, so all those in favor? All those opposed? Abstaining? It is unanimous. So we also have a set of meeting minutes for the meeting before town meeting on May 24th. Barbara was not there, so she cannot make that motion.
Motion to approve May 24th meetings.
Second.
Motion from Joe, seconded by Russ. Is there any discussion on those much shorter but also detailed and excellently prepared meeting minutes? Without any, all those in favor of approving the May 24th minutes? All those opposed, abstaining? Barbara? It is approved. We currently are not, we do not have our next meeting scheduled. We'll probably meet sometime end of August, maybe the beginning of September to,
I myself lean
Go.
towards September.
that is
It's a
our,
busy August.
yeah, as do I.
Yep.
So,
And if you'd like to join.
yes, absolutely. If you would like to join, that would be the ballpark of when our next meeting would be, probably sometime in September, around or maybe after Labor Day.
Plenty of time to get
Plenty of
information,
time to-
get yourself
yep.
appointed and sworn in.
Get your information to Sean Riley or any of us.
Get your ID and your hat and jacket.
Company car.
Yeah.
Are there any other topics or motions that anyone would care to present?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion to adjourn in a second. All those, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, abstaining? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.